What if the things you want most aren't really what you need? In fact, what if your struggle, pain, sadness, and despair, the very things you're hoping and praying go away, are in and of themselves the gift, the miracle, because they are messengers bringing you what you could never have obtained otherwise. My friend Logan sent me a note the other day, quoting letter 5 of Letters to Malcolm, chiefly on prayer, from C.S. Lewis. The voice note basically said, "Eddie, I know you're going to love this." And he was right. I was floored, so moved that I couldn't help but pass it along to some friends, and now I want to share it with you. So, in the same vein as Michael Scott from The Office writing on the whiteboard, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky - Michael Scott." I'm going to quote my pal Logan quoting C.S. Lewis. Lewis said, "If God had granted all the silly prayers I've made in my life, where would I be now?" He then essentially implies that perhaps the prayers that are not answered end up giving us more than the ones that are. That maybe our greatest opportunities come from battling through our difficulties, from seeking to find the value in hardship rather than wishing the hardship away. So it's not that we shouldn't be praying. It's that perhaps we should be asking for not shortcuts or a shelter from the chaos of life, but the wisdom to identify life's necessary lessons. Man, what a beautiful reflection. What if we stopped praying for the painful circumstances to be taken away and instead asked what he wants us to get out of them? It's not, "Please take the storm away." It's, "Where can I unveil strength amidst the storm I didn't even know I had? Where is the value dispersed amongst this valley of despair I find myself navigating?" Part of life is understanding that quote-unquote misfortune is unavoidable. But along with that is understanding that lives are changed and fortunes are made when we are pushed to our max, when we are tired, lonely, scared, defeated, unsure. See, these are the things that teach us to gather ourselves and rebuild stronger, like muscle breaking down to grow back greater than before. You can pray to be dropped at the end of a 10-mile run, but how self-defeating, right? The substance is the journey. It's hurting and finding a way to go on. It's doubting whether you can hit your target and learning to trust yourself. It's running by people on the beach, beer in hand, relaxing, and knowing that in this moment you chose to be different. How insane to pray those things away. They are the miracle. It's asking to skip the movie and arrive at the credits, to skip the book and wake up when the story is resolved and it's time to place it back on the shelf. Our power is derived from our pain, our discomfort. So perhaps when going through it, we remind ourselves what it will all come to mean. We revisit the fact that just because the value appears invisible through the storm doesn't mean it's not there. We just tend to see it later, in the rear view, when the dark clouds are behind us, when the turbulence has died down, and we can now reflect on what stares back in the mirror. So here's to reframing those stories we tell. To not seek to wish away the obstacles, but to seek guidance, understanding, and wisdom in getting from them that which makes life worth living. Here's to going where most don't dare go in order to emerge with what most don't have. Here's to living life with eyes open, To understanding in our despair exists the seed that will become our greatness, our joy, and our triumph. Change the way you see the dragons of life, and you will simultaneously, with each swing of the sword, become capable of slaying them. I saw a rabbit again today. Wow, a rabbit. Groundbreaking. Okay, you laugh, but it means something to me. Every time I'm on the verge of doubt, I swear one shows up. It's quiet, simple, but in that moment, I know I'm on the right path. The right path? Dude, you've been wandering for years. Call it what it is, lost. The rabbit didn't save you. It won't save you. It can't save you. This is not working. Maybe you forgot what it means to trust something before it makes sense. To build without applause. To keep going when the map is gone, but the compass still points forward. Trust something? Yeah, that was easier when the numbers were rising, when people cared, when you mattered. Now you're a shadow, chasing old echoes, clinging to memories like they're momentum. You think it's about being seen? It's never been about the stage, it's about the message. And that message still burns in me. Hotter than it ever has. Then why does it feel like you're dying with it? Why are your ideas heavier than ever? Why does every step forward feel like pulling the entire world behind you? Because that's what it means to grow. You carry what others can't see. You feel what they're not ready to understand. That weight you talk about, it's proof you're still in the game. Or maybe it's proof you're just too stubborn to quit. Maybe you've confused belief with delusion. Maybe this isn't growth, maybe it's resistance to life, to reality, to change. No, it's resistance to settling, to giving up the one thing I was put on this planet to do. You know what failure is? It's not falling short. It's sitting across from yourself and lying. Yeah, well, what if we already passed the best parts? What if this is the decline? Then let it be earned. Let the descent be fought for. Let me collapse at the finish line, not walk away from the race. But aren't you tired? Of course I am. But tired does not mean done. Tired means I'm alive. It means I'm doing something that matters. Even if it breaks you? Especially if it breaks me. Because on the other side of broken is rebuilt. The phoenix rising from the ashes. On the other side of doubt is conviction. And on the other side of fear, well, is a rabbit. You really think that means something? I know it does. Because I choose to let it mean something. And isn't that what belief is? Choosing meaning when the world gives you none? Then what now? We're here. 2 chairs, a setting sun, no audience, no applause, just silence and shadows. That's all you have. Then we sit. And we speak and we remember that this is the fight. the moment between quitting and continuing, and I'm choosing to continue. Because belief doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't wait for certainty. It sees a random rabbit in the desert and says, I am right where I need to be. Yeah? And if you're wrong, then I'll be wrong honestly. With every step forward, with every word spoken, with every chapter written in the dark. Because the only thing worse than failing is never believing enough to try. It's letting go with the world at your fingertips, a blank canvas and a brush in your hand. You see just a rabbit. I see a reminder that the infinite is waiting. Sometimes all that's required is you to give yourself permission to go. So I'm going to tell you a story about my light bulb moment here with this concept, because it's a good one, and helps paint that picture. So a handful of years ago, I was sitting at a bar with a friend of mine. At the time, he was a business partner, still a very good friend. We'd been working all day. I think we were watching a game or something like that. And we're talking about, when he started his first business. He's an older guy, about 20, 25 years older than me. Very accomplished, done some amazing things, and made some money along the way. And so I always, when I can, like to pick his brain and hear about the process. And he said, do you want to hear about the first big investment I made with my company? And I, of course, said, absolutely. I'd love to hear that. He says, okay. So long story short, just kind of starting out, 1 foot in the water. I know it's the right thing to do, but these things take time. There's a little bit of friction. And I've been watching this guy online who is, in a similar space, very just good on camera. Seems like he has it all together. Creates very good content, has a team. It was all the things I wanted. And so I inquired and, emailed, checked out his website, and I found out that he had this job shadowing program where you fly to his place, and you'd kind of just follow him for a day. You see his routines, how he runs his business, who's in his world, how he manages his employees, all this stuff. And he says, Eddie, there was a catch though. It was incredibly expensive. And at the time, I didn't have the money. So it was a very, very big decision. And when I say expensive, I won't tell you the number, but it makes me like twitch. It's a lot of dough. And the thing about this guy is that when his heart is set on something, he goes, right? So this is right on brand for him. He somehow scraped together the money. However he could, cleaned out his accounts, paid, took a flight across the country, showed up at this guy's place, and did the job shadowing. Saw how he ran things, interacted with him, got to chat, ask questions, and I'm like, well, how did it go? And he said, well, let me tell you, underwhelming is perhaps an understatement. It was just, when I say not what I expected, unremarkable. The guy was disorganized, didn't have the grasp on things that he appeared to on camera when he scripted and things were, laid out in front of him, and just kind of fumbling around through life. And I couldn't believe my eyes. I'm sitting there after having spent all that money and flown across the country in disbelief. And so I listened for a little bit, and when he explains that, I said, man, I am so sorry. Like that's, that brings a tear to my eye. That tugs at my heartstrings. No one wants to hear that. And he said, Eddie, sorry. There's no reason to be sorry. Let me explain something to you. He's like, That money was the best money I'd ever spent in my life. Because I learned, quote, if that clown could do it, so could I. And man, that just hits. It's so funny to me how it wasn't information he needed at that point in time. It wasn't some secret script or idea or, you get the point. There's no underlying strategy that would have changed his life. What he needed was self-belief and a green light to go. And I can take that concept and inject it into so many phases of my life. And I know you on the other end of this camera can as well. So much of the time, I think we're looking for the wrong things. I think it's that simple. We're looking for John Smith's strategy and approach, and we want to emulate how other people are doing it. We want these hidden details. We want the answer that's been, hiding in the weeds that's going to change everything, when what we really need is pure, absolute confidence in our own ability to get things done, to know that we can do it. Because the universe doesn't tell you that. As much as I wish that were the case, there's never a path that just miraculously opens up like Moses in the Red Sea. It's just not how the world works. Life is messy. It's disorganized. There's doubt around every corner. There's no exact formula. And the only piece that will carry you through it all is complete certainty that you can weather the storm, that you can handle it. That's the foundation that everything is built on. And when he said, if this guy can do it, so can I. Sometimes that's all it is. Those people out there, they're no better than you. They're not innately talented. They believed in themselves and they greenlit the journey. Fully committed. And, through trial and error and iteration, here they are. And the same thing is true with you. So think about that in your own world. Is there any area where you need to look around and just give yourself permission to begin? To trust that you can be the one. You can be the one to make the change, to create something new, to adjust and alter reality. You can do that. Again, that self-belief doesn't arrive in the mail. It starts looking directly at yourself in the mirror and giving yourself permission to begin. There are moments in life that feel like endings. But what if they're simply the next version of you? A question that brings me right to the present moment. It's funny how something so small can undo something so sacred. This time, it's something as arbitrary as back spasms. A sharp pain when I breathe in that kind of moves different places in my upper left back to my lat shoulder. And at first it was, kind of an afterthought. It was like, okay, it'll heal. I'll be fine in a few days. After all, part of getting older and lifting is working around these things. You're never 100% perfect. But it's been almost 3 weeks now. And instead of healing, it's getting worse, right? It hurts to sleep, hurts to breathe. Even thinking about a pull-up feels like betrayal. And here's the part worth examining. I didn't think it would hit this hard, but, here I am, canceling workouts with friends, texting, hey, sorry, man, gotta skip today. That Murph workout I was so pumped to do, that ritual of strength and struggle, shared with people I respect, gone, postponed, forgotten by everyone except me. And this isn't just me whining, by the way. Like, I'm getting to the point here. I feel less anchored because for me, movement isn't just fitness. It's clarity, it's identity. It's the thread that really weaves the rest of my life together. And without it, apparently, that thread has started to unravel. My wake time shifted a little bit. Don't have to get up early to hit the fasted cardio, right? So morning structure softens. And you get the idea, that domino effect. Kind of stop tracking meals. Skipping the cold plunge a few times turns into a few more. Opening Instagram instead of the notebook. And the part of me that would roar forward with focus and fire, well, he's just a little quieter now. And I think that's the moment where the wolves come. Not suddenly, at least not in this case, not dramatically, but gradually, until they're everywhere. Until you look around and go, whoa. One sits on my shoulder whispering, "You're losing it." Another paces in front of me. Momentum's gone, you'll never get it back. One hides behind false logic, right? Maybe this is just who you are now. Maybe it's easier to accept that. And the cruelest one of all, he just watches, says nothing, because he knows that I know. The context here is, for the first time in a long time, I'd finally felt healthy, like I'd mitigated and sort of removed myself from a lot of these things I've dealt with over the years. And that's what's been interesting to watch, right? That subtle erosion of self-belief, that part of me that's always said, dude, you've been here before, you'll get through this. Sometimes when you're just down and out, it feels hard to hear. But here's the inflection point, and I love to share these inflection points. This morning I sat alone on my balcony and I asked the question that matters most. You don't like the person you're becoming, the trajectory, you've taken in a very short period of time. It's like, do I let this moment consume me, or do I become something new? Do I let it be a new evolution? Because this is no different than any other challenge in life. It feels big and personal and complex because, well, it's what's right in front of me now. But in reality, it's just another obstacle. Pain has a way of asking you who you really are. Not when everything's working. Not when you're strong, but when you're broken. When the routines fall apart. When your identity starts to slip through your fingers. And the wolves, they are not the enemy. They're the test. In a way, they are the invitation. A hand extended. And so this morning, I gifted myself the decision. Not to sprint, obviously. Not to lift, can't do that. But to face that circle of wolves with grace. To stop hoping they go away. And to meet their gaze and answer them. Yes, I'm in some mental duress, right? Poor me, life goes on. Yes, I'm losing momentum. Yes, in a way, holding off regression, but I'm still here. Blood in my veins, air in my lungs. And gonna rebuild from the inside out. Again, it's not like I just found out I'll never walk again, right? Perspective here. Because the wolf isn't some fantasy of me at my peak. It's who's already inside, who I become when everything's stripped away. When normalcy and routine and comfort are taken, who do you become? So if you feel them too, right? Those doubts, those whispers, if your momentum has been slowed, if your identity feels like it's dissolving, this is your moment. Not to run or hide, but to rise. To not lay down, shake your fist at the world and become the sheep, but to meet the wolves where they are. Life isn't about staying strong when it's easy. It's about becoming stronger when every part of you wants to disappear, when you're frustrated and annoyed, and all you see is off-ramps. Your North Star is covered up by clouds. That's when it matters. When the wolves circle, you become one. It's in your lowest moments, when quitting feels the easiest, when retreating or surrender feels the most intuitive, that life asks the most of you. That's when you want to hide, to point fingers, to collapse, blame, and fear the wolves. But maybe that's when you're meant to become one. Life is admittedly a game of nuance and complexity. There's no one-size-fits-all roadmap here. But sometimes, to distill our most important crossroads into their simplest form sheds light on the road ahead. It helps us better understand what lies before us. After all, we don't lose ourselves because we misread the little complexities, because we got lost on the details. No, we lose ourselves when we're unable to see the most basic, simple, and seemingly obvious things. And so, let's take an axe to this tree. Let's break the complex down. Let's examine our darkest moments, our most challenging trials, when we hurt the most, when life brings us to our knees, when we feel the wolves circling. After all, that's when we're most inclined to become the sheep. It's easier to shrink, to blame the seemingly bloodthirsty beasts waiting for their chance to take everything you have left. Drawn in by your momentary weakness, they know this is the invitation they've longed for, free dining at your expense. Oh, how every instinct in these moments resonates with being the victim. How intuitive, right, to lay down and want to shake your fist at the world. But what if? What if these moments called you to do one thing? Not bow down to the universe and loathe the wolf, not fear the sharp teeth, nor the glowing eyes piercing through the night, but rather find it within yourself to rise up and become one. What if it wasn't a threat? No, not at all. What if it was an invitation, a whisper? Hey, you know that part of you buried deep down? That beast in slumber, the one who's been dormant for perhaps too long? The one who doesn't take no for an answer? Who sees the world not as a collection of steel bars restricting their every move, but a playground? One who expects turbulence, who sees the obstacles not as a problem, but as a reminder that you are right where you need to be. That lives inside you, with all its strength and courage, all its fight and resolve. When you feel the wolves circle, don't collapse into that part of you treading water on the surface. Dig deep. Descend to the depths of yourself and reemerge as one of them. Fight fire with fire. See, sometimes life calls on you to take shelter. This is not one of those times. Step out into the world, into the storm, into hell, and carve something beautiful, into the chaos. Will it be easy? No, of course not. That's the whole thing. When we're in pain, anything but surrender is counterintuitive. But that's why the ascent is transformational. Start with the premise that it's not a matter of if the wolf inside of you exists. It's whether you can collect yourself and choose to be him over the sheep. Can you tolerate the sharp pain of transformation in exchange for the slow, dull, chipping ache of surrender? When the wolves circle, and if they aren't now, my friend, they will. A life fully lived is never void of them. Accept the call to transcend life as it's currently lived. Let the sharp teeth be a reminder that you can cut through the haze of doubt. Let the eyes be a reminder that you can see through the now and visualize the ideal. Let the howls be a reminder that your soul cries out for more. That their moon is in fact your moon, and what's available to them can belong to you. When you want most to accept the role as sheep, when you want most to lay down, to tip your cap and call it a day, that is your moment. To not just endure, but to dig deep. To step outside yourself. To find light in darkness, to become the way, and to be more than you have ever been.